June 22nd, 1984, inside San Quentin State Prison. 2. Rival gang leaders, Luis Montgomery from the Crips and Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon from the Mexican Mafia, were supposedly going to meet to talk about a possible peace treaty between the two gangs. However, as the two high-security inmates were being led to the supposed meeting by only one corrections officer, Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon would attack Luis Montgomery, stabbing him over a dozen times in the chest and throat. Staff were to witness the whole thing. Darryl D. Castrejon was at first an Ontario Vario sun-kissed gang member, as he would rise through the ranks of the gang and eventually become a made member of the Mexican Mafia. His story would play out like a Hollywood script, as in 2009, while facing a conspiracy to commit murder charge, he would disappear into Mexico.
It is a bizarre, bloody story that has all the makings of a Hollywood gangster movie, but it really happened, and most of it was set in the San Gabriel Valley. Tonight, Chris Blatchford investigates the Mexican Mafia's plot to kill Frankie B.
God told Noah to build an ark.
Frankie Wellness sits in his living room reading the story of Noah's Ark to his 2-year-old daughter.
God sent the animals to Noah 2 by 2.
He reads this biblical tale of sin, judgment, and salvation as if he's just another dad. But he's Frankie B., a member of the Mexican Mafia, also called eMe, who has convictions for burglary, armed robberies, drug dealing, and assault with a deadly weapon. He spent more than half his adult years in prison.
That's his daddy.
9 years ago, he appeared to be a loving dad here at home in Pomona. But at the time, this Mafia dropout says Frankie B. was in a fight for his life.
You know, they're just killing each other. It's nothing but power struggle. All of them are fighting for power.
Frankie B., unlike most Mexican Mafia members, was from Northern California. But when paroled in the early 1990s, he set up shop in the San Gabriel Valley. Pomona detectives say he once threatened to kill a guy over $20 and was always dabbling where he shouldn't. Pomona is the territory of a rival Mexican Mafia boss, Big Mike Lerma. Lerma's goddaughter in 2004 wrote to him in prison. And in this letter obtained by Fox 11 News, she complained that Frankie B. keeps threatening our family. Big Mike writes back, not to worry, things have a way of working out in time. Gang specialist Leo Duarte.
Frankie B. was apparently, the information that was, going around was that he was stepping on toes.
According to this law enforcement intelligence report, mafiosos Sal Toro Hernandez and Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon were also upset that Frankie B. was taxing drug dealers in their Inland Empire territories. Bureau of Narcotics agent Scott Barker.
Frankie B. didn't care. He was going to collect taxes when he wanted, where he wanted. He was going to do his thing because he was Frankie B.
And that's not the only reason Frankie B.'s life was in jeopardy. In a 1994 court case, he admitted to being a member of the Mexican Mafia, violating the code of silence. He also claimed to have dropped out, an offense punishable by death. And in 2005, detectives uncovered a plot to kill Frankie B.
The way this whole thing came together was pretty surprising.
It all happened by chance. Investigators had wiretapped a gang called the Pomona 12th Street Sharkies. That's because a wannabe gang member had assassinated CHP officer Thomas Steiner outside the Pomona courthouse. But suddenly, the wiretaps caught the voice of a Mexican Mafia kingpin, Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon.
Castrejon, he's dangerous and real quiet. He just listens, observes. Those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Investigators say Dashing D made his bones at San Quentin in the 1980s by killing a Crip gang member. The wiretap showed he would direct and control a hit on Frankie B.
So what's new on that work?
Dashing D gave orders to Hector Munoz, known as Tiburon, and Arturo Garcia, known as Topo.
Okay, be sure to stay on them.
Tiburon and Topo are both shot callers in the 12th Street Sharkies gang.
All right, thank you.
Under them, Julio Felix, another Sharky known as Barney, who warned about being reckless.
Be careful, dog. Don't try to do no kamikaze because you're trying to get it over with, you know? Yeah.
Barney was the middleman who arranged details of the hit and supplied this murder weapon, a .38 revolver.
All right, I'm going to go pick it up then, Barnes.
He selected Ricardo Polanco, another sharky known as Biggs, to be the trigger man. The first plot was to shoot and kill Frankie B here at his home.
Well, I scoped it out. I know how to get away and everything.
But one investigator describes Biggs as a cartoon-like character who just couldn't get it done. He lost one murder weapon and repeatedly made other excuses.
I can't do it right now, Barnes. I've been drinking. Hustling crazy. 3 12-packs.
After nearly 4 months of bungling, Biggs was arrested in a rental car on his way to do the hit, just a few blocks from the home of Maria Lopez, Frankie B's girlfriend. He had a loaded .38 revolver. By that time, investigators had already been to Frankie B's house to warn him about a murder plot.
So would you like protection? Frankie B said no. Said he's had that before. He's not worried about it.
But a source close to Frankie B tells us he was angry and paranoid. And investigators say calls intercepted later showed even Frankie's girlfriend Maria was willing to set him up. As it turns out, she was co-conspirator Hector Munoz's girlfriend too. And Munoz, 4 months later, was ambushed at a red light, shot 13 times and left for dead. Investigators guess it was Frankie B's work.
It happens to a lot of them. These guys think it's going to last forever, but it doesn't.
By 2008, Barney Felix, Topo Garcia, and Biggs Polanco were all convicted and sentenced to long prison terms for their part in the plot to kill Frankie B, even though they never got the job done. And this woman, who does not want to be identified,
it was pretty messy, and it was chaos,
says she was here at Character's Sports Bar in Pomona in November of 2007, the night Frankie Buelna was in fact shot and killed by an unknown gunman. No one is talking.
People are afraid to talk.
Hell yeah, because they reach out and touch people, even from behind bars.
Dashing D. Castrejon jumped bail, $1 million bail, 3 days before he was set for trial in the Frankie B murder plot. He's been a fugitive now for nearly 3 years. Fox 11 News has learned he's been seen in Mexico and Central America and has direct ties to the major drug cartels. We've learned he's using Inland Empire gangs, Black Angels, 18th Street, West Side Verdugo, and East Side Victoria to ferry large quantities of drugs and cash across the border. One cop tells us it seems that Castrejon is untouchable, and for now it appears that he has fallen off the radar. In the Inland Empire, Chris Blatchford, Fox 11 News.
In Los Angeles today, some 50 gang members opened what they call a peace summit after a bloody weekend of gang warfare that left at least 9 people dead. The death toll for the year, about 200. So far, efforts to bring peace to the gangs have met with no success in Los Angeles, but in nearby city of Pomona, they have. NBC's Keith Morrison has more.
They call themselves homeboys and gangbangers, and when they cruise the streets and back alleys of Pomona, east of Los Angeles, they say they are kicking back. The Hispanic gangs here do not deal in drugs, but their fights over territory in this poor suburb are vicious. 17-year-old Mario, a veteran who joined the gang wars at 12.
Yeah, man, I'm a gangbanger and everything, but we gotta take care of business.
There is here a cycle of poverty and desperation and well-armed violence, but now also just the glimmer of a solution. The police department, frustrated by the failure of enforcement, is trying a United Nations sort of approach. Has persuaded members of 2 of the competing gangs to talk about a truce, a ceasefire.
We're taking situations that have a degree of possibility of escalating to violence and trying to diffuse those.
They have come to the police station voluntarily, have submitted to weapon searches, just to talk to each other.
Remember, we've always talked about our goal, saving one life. So, how's things between Sue and Sir Tracy? All right.
But I'm gonna tell you straight out. This is where I come from.
Why don't you guys come to the table and talk about it, okay?
The effort is touch and go, the atmosphere here explosive. These people do not like each other at all.
Hey, come on.
Don't think I'm bad. I showed you I'm bad. I showed you twice I'm bad. And if I have to do it again, I'm gonna do it again. Well, let's say if he wants to keep it cool, better keep his things together. Just don't want to mess us up. That's all I got to say.
To an outsider, even to the police, it is not at all clear that anything has been accomplished here. The gangbangers leave apparently as antagonistic as when they came. But somehow a little sense may be getting through. The peace talks promoting new priorities.
That's the reason I don't want to get killed. It's right there.
Elsewhere in Los Angeles, police are losing the war against gangs. But here, in the months since these two gangs started talking, there's not been one significant act of violence between them. They still cruise their territory and still look and sound threatening. But so far, that is all they do. Keith Morrison, NBC News, Los Angeles.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Greenlit Gang TV. Hope you're having a blessed day. Hope you had a good start to your week. Sorry about my voice. It's been over a month. Feel like I cannot get it back fully. I went to a concert. I did go to a football game here recently. Probably didn't help, but still, man, I feel like it's gone on longer than I would like. And you already know what I asked for before we jump into the video. If you would, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. We hit 26,000 subscribers a couple days ago. The goal is 30K. And we'll get there when we get there, as I've stated before. Okay, so like we talked about in the intro, we're going to be talking about a Mexican Mafia member by the name of Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon. And he is representing OVS, Ontario, Vadio, Sunkissed, or the OVS Black Angels. A couple different names associated with this gang. We're going to do a quick history on OVS because I want to make sure that when I talk about these Mexican Mafia members, I don't ever want to forget to talk about the gangs that they came up under. So the OVS gang, also known as Ontario Vadio Sur, or the Black Angels, is a Mexican-American criminal street gang founded over 50 years ago in Ontario, California, where it claims the entire city as its territory. The gang consists of approximately 450 members, including full members and subgroups such as the Junior Black Angels, and actively recruits juveniles, including through visits to local high schools, aligned with the Serrano faction and under control of the Mexican Mafia. All right, going back to Dashing D. That's a hell of a nickname, by the way. Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon. And the dashing part of that name will fit here in just a few minutes when we get to talking about what he ended up doing. First, though, it's kind of become like a regular thing here on this channel. We're going to be talking about Prison Chronicles social media post about Darryl Dashing D. Castrejon. There's also good YouTube videos on him. I hope you watch mine, but then go check out some other ones that have good information on him. But this is their post on him. He was a member of the OVS, Ontario Black Angels street gang. Currently, and this is what it says, he is a fugitive who disappeared after posting a $1 million bail on murder conspiracy charges and has eluded law enforcement ever since. You saw the Chris Blatchford news about him. That was the conspiracy that they're talking about. Charged in 2005 with a conspiracy to murder fellow Mexican Mafia member Frankie B. He made all required court appearances for over 3 years until he vanished 3 days before the murder plot trial was set to begin in January of 2009. He left his car, cell phone, everything else behind, and has since been seen in Mexico and Central America. He is known to have direct ties to major drug cartels and uses gangs in the Inland Empire and Los Angeles area to move drugs and cash across the border. The properties put up as collateral for his $1 million bond. This part's a little fucked up. They included his daughter's home and his father-in-law's home. They were likely seized by the bonding agency after he fled. Now, there were reports in 2023 out of Mexico that he was killed and hung from a bridge, right? Now, interestingly enough, we're going to read a couple different articles here. First, though, before we get into the Frankie Buena attempted murder hit, I want to read the full article that I talked about in the intro, because this is kind of his... When you look Darryl D up, Dashing D up, it talks about two main things. His escape, that he dipped out in 2009, maybe died in 2023, hanging from a bridge. And it talks about the hit on his fellow Mexican Mafia member, Frank Buena. Well, I, digging through some archives here, found what may have been his first reported prison murder, and that's that San Quentin murder that we talked about in the intro. And that's why I did it in the intro, okay? And this is the heading of the article. San Quentin set up death, report says. So basically, Darryl D kills this Crip gang member, and we're going to get into why people thought that. And here's how the article reads. San Quentin officials have been accused of setting up the leader of a black prison gang for death on the way to a peace meeting, and that was in quotes, with the reputed hitman of a rival Hispanic gang, according to a report aired Thursday by KRON TV. The report detailed the slaying of Luis Montgomery, 21, who was stabbed in the chest and throat by Darryl Castrejon in front of a dozen guards and counselors on June 22nd, 1984. KRON said leaders of Montgomery's gang, the Crips, contend prison officials set up Montgomery because they were afraid of the group's increasing power. The state attorney's general office has agreed to look into the case, the station reported. Montgomery and Castrejon were escorted. This is crazy when you really think about this. Like, you would never hear about this today as far as how it went down. Prison attacks, they happen all the time in California. California's an absolute shit show. But they escorted Montgomery, Castrejon, from a high security section of the prison by just one guard in violation of prison rules, requiring one guard for each inmate. They also had their chains and handcuffs removed, another violation of department rules. After the killing, the report said, Castrejon was searched and they found a knife, a handcuff key, and a razor blade. So you go to a high security area of the prison, you take one guard who takes two rival gang members out of their cell. I couldn't believe I had to reread it. Uncuffs them, and then starts leading them down a walkway. And oh no, Dashing D attacks Montgomery. KRON said the killing took place in front of several guards, but Castrejon's only punishment, check this out, was suspension of canteen privileges for 90 days. So he couldn't get commissary. And he was never charged with the slaying, which isn't too crazy. If you watch old interviews, if you watch old content about how California prisons and just kind of the prison system in general was back then, I think it was Rene Boxer Enriquez, he said in a Soft White Underbelly interview that yard killings would happen. And I think the term he used was they would bring out the wheelbarrow or whatever, pick up the body. And I think he said, all right, play ball. Like, you're just back to yard. Some guy just got murked right there in the yard, pick him up, get him out the way. All right, everybody go back to what you're doing. Bob Denninger, Deputy Director of the State Department of Corrections, said that although the case raises questions about a faulty search and quality of guard supervision, oh shit, there's absolutely no indication any kind of conspiracy happened. Wow. Like rereading, I really had to reread that before I brought this to you guys, because I just did not believe that one guard took two high-ranking gang members out of their cell who were rivals and then tried to walk them down the cell. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so that happens in 1984, okay? So like the Prison Chronicles post said, he gets charged in 2005 with attempting to kill Frank Buena, okay? Now, that happened because shot caller and big Mexican Mafia leader Michael Lerma, who I've covered on this channel, okay, got Castrejon and others to basically conspire to kill Frank Buena because Frank Buena and another guy, Daniel Prendez, had made threats to Michael Lerma's goddaughter, okay? And this is an article on Lerma and where it talks about this conspiracy murder, okay? This is an article about Michael Lerma, big-time shot caller, big-time Mexican Mafia guy. They said his power went across all boundaries, all city lines, all, some Mexican Mafia members controlled these portions, ran these areas of particular parts of California. Michael Lerma had authority almost everywhere he went. It says in 2004, Lerma got a troubling letter from his goddaughter. Two men, Danny Boy and Frankie B, were threatening our family, she wrote. According to a police report, authorities suspected she was talking about Frank Buena, a Mexican Mafia member who was shaking down drug dealers in Pomona, and that's where Michael Lerma's from, with his right-hand man, Daniel Prendez. In a letter reviewed by the Times, Lerma assured his goddaughter, quote, as for those assholes, not to worry. Things have a way of working out in time. A year later, authorities had tapped the phones of leaders of 12th Street, those are the Sharkies, Lerma's old gang, when they overheard talk of killing Buena. They arrested 4 suspects before the plot was carried out. 3 were convicted of conspiring to murder Buena. The 4th, our guy, Darryl Castrejon, a reputed Mexican Mafia member from Ontario, posted a $1 million bail and vanished, never to be seen again. Lerma was not charged in the conspiracy. And check this out. A couple years later, on a night in 2007, Buena, Frankie B, went to his usual watering hole in Pomona called Characters Sports Bar and was shot to death along with a friend. And their homicides remain unsolved. It's crazy, huh? And Frankie B, was dead or gunned down at the age of 61. Now, jump ahead to April 2006. And this was kind of interesting, okay? So Darryl Dashing D Castrejon makes a $1 million bail from that 05 murder conspiracy charge. That's a lot of money to make. Kind of impressive that he made it, to be honest with you. It means at one point he must have had his money right or knew the right people. And of course in the comments, well, yeah, he put houses up too, but it's like you also got to have some cash as well. So it just kind of sucks that when he disappeared, he burnt his in-laws and his daughter. They put their homes up, man, and he dipped. But regardless, it is what it is. This is an article from April 24th, 2006. 57 gang members were arrested on an anniversary of a California Highway Patrol officer's death. Okay? Attorney General Bill Lockyer today, along with the California Highway Patrol, the Pomona Police Department, and the Los Angeles Interagency Metropolitan Police Apprehension Crime Task Force, holy shit, and numerous other local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies announced the arrest of 57 criminal gang members known to be associated with the Pomona 12th Street Sharkies on charges ranging from conspiracy to commit murder to weapons and drug-related violations. 2 years ago, 16-year-old Valentino Arenas, I put his picture up, gunned down California Highway Patrol Officer Thomas J. Steiner, I put his picture up as well, outside the Pomona courthouse by Arenas, who hoped to join the 12th Street Sharkies. He sought to gain the gang's attention and respect by randomly shooting and killing a law enforcement officer. That's fucking insane. P12's roots date back to the 1940s, and over the last several years, it has greatly expanded its criminal enterprise to include large-scale drug trafficking, extortion, and murder. P12 is now one of the area's largest and most violent gangs. The gang claims about 200 active members and has close ties to La eMe. The murder of Officer Steiner and the gang's record of criminal activity prompted the investigation that led to the arrest announced today. Okay, now, one of those guys who was picked up was our guy, Darryl Dashing D Castrejon, who was age 46 at the time. So my only question on this, and I couldn't find an exact answer, was he gets picked up on this charge, but he's already out from bail on the 05 murder conspiracy charge. Don't know if he had to make bail again. Don't know if he was already let out because, well, he'd been out on bail for over a year on this conspiracy charge. He hadn't been making his court date. So they said, hey, now you got to go to this court date. And it doesn't exactly say what he was charged with. He was wrapped up, though. He was one of those 57 initially arrested. His name's right there in the article as a listed arrested individual. What's crazy about this case was that it didn't wrap up until 2015. The final person would be sent to jail. And in total, 61 individuals would be sent to jail. Okay. Another side note that I found just by typing in his last name. I'm telling you guys, I do a lot of digging for you. His father, Manuel Cates Castrejon, on September 27th, 2006, would die at the age of 75. And reading through his father's obituary, he seemed like a very upright, straight up, good man. Spent time in the Army. Worked for local steel companies in Fontana, California for over 50 years. And then reading through, I found out that Darryl Dashing D Castrejon was one of 8 children with numerous brothers and sisters. And then the last part of this, 3 days in January of 2009 before everything was to basically be done with his case on the murder conspiracy charge, and he was going to get sentenced, and he was not going to be out free anymore, he took off. He runs to Mexico. And to be honest with you, that's from 2009 to 2023 when we hear reports that he was found dead, hanging from a bridge. By all standards of living that life, he was 46 when he got arrested in 06, 56, he's 63, 64 years old. And that's a cruel, unforgiving, cold world. There was something I read in the comments, and it talked about how Rene Boxer Enriquez had spoke on Mexican Mafia members who go to Mexico and they're with the cartel. He says that some of them, the reason they get killed is because these Mexican Mafia guys go down there thinking that they still carry a lot of weight, they carry a lot of power, they might be a little arrogant. And the cartel does not play. The cartel basically says, you're out, and they kill him. That doesn't seem like what happened to Dashing D because he was down there for so long. It's just you're living that life, man. One wrong misstep, you're done. You're cut off. Some people, though, interestingly enough, and I will end it with this, still doubt that he is dead. Some people say, hey, never 100% confirmed. He could still be alive. Don't know. Really want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, peace.